What if the stars could speak, and the jungle could remember? What if buried beneath centuries of vines and silence were truths so powerful they could rewrite everything we think we know about civilization, science, and the soul of humankind? Deep in the heart of Mesoamerica, surrounded by dense green canopies and the eternal rhythms of nature, the ancient Maya left behind more than ruins. They left riddles, mathematical wonders carved in stone, sacred temples aligned with celestial events, and stories of gods, blood, and creation etched into every pyramid and plaza. For over 2,000 years, the Maya thrived in what is now Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. They built complex societies, devised a calendar more accurate than any in Europe at the time, and studied the heavens with such precision that modern astronomers still marvel. And yet, after centuries of brilliance, their vast cities fell silent, abandoned, overgrown, forgotten by time but not by mystery. To understand who the Maya were, we must journey back to 2000 BCE, when the first seeds of their civilization were planted, literally and figuratively. At the heart of their culture was maize, or corn, a crop that would shape not only their economy, but their very mythology. According to the sacred book of the Popol Vuh, the gods crafted humans from maize dough, intertwining their survival with the land itself. Maize wasn't just food, it was divine essence. This belief wove through every layer of Maya society. From the earliest farmers in small villages to the priest-kings of towering city-states, maize was the link between earth and sky, the material and the spiritual. As their agricultural methods improved, so did their settlements. By 1000 BCE, the Maya had established ceremonial centers, the earliest forms of the grand cities they would later construct. These were not mere villages, but spiritual landscapes, meticulously designed with a cosmic blueprint in mind. Their temples and pyramids weren't just feats of engineering. They were astronomical tools, aligned with the sun during solstices and equinoxes, serving as both spiritual stages and scientific observatories. Time, for the Maya, wasn't linear. It was sacred, cyclical, and governed by cosmic forces. Their long-count calendar was not simply a way to mark days. It was a divine map of existence, tracking ages of creation and destruction, each ruled by different gods and fates. The Maya understood the stars not only as physical entities, but as powerful beings. Venus, in particular, held immense importance. Its appearances and disappearances were tracked for centuries, influencing everything from war to religion. The Maya created detailed codices, books made of bark paper covered in glyphs and illustrations, recording astronomical events and ritual cycles. Many of these were lost to the fires of Spanish conquest, but the few that remain, like the Dresden Codex, continue to amaze scholars with their accuracy and complexity. As their civilization matured, cities like Tikal, Calakmul, Palenque, and Copan rose from the jungle like greenstone titans. Each had its own dynasties, political rivalries, and sacred duties. The Maya were not a single empire, but a network of city-states, each ruled by a halach uinik, or true man, who served as both king and high priest. These leaders claimed divine lineage, often depicting themselves in art as merging with gods through elaborate rituals. Bloodletting, human sacrifice, and communication with the underworld were not acts of cruelty, but of cosmic responsibility, vital for maintaining balance between realms. One of the most stunning architectural examples of Maya genius is the Temple of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza. During the equinoxes, sunlight casts a serpent-like shadow that slithers down the staircase of the pyramid, aligning perfectly with the carved serpent heads at its base. This phenomenon was not coincidence. It was a deliberate message carved into time and space, reminding all who witnessed it of the Maya's divine connection to the universe. But not everything about the Maya can be seen or measured. Their worldview, what scholars call their cosmology, was infused with the sacred. They believed in a multi-layered universe, the heavens above, the earthly plane, and the underworld, known as Xibalba. Caves, cenotes, natural sinkholes, and pyramids were portals between these realms. Priests and shamans performed ceremonies to maintain harmony, calling on gods like Itzamna, the creator, or Chak, the rain deity, to bless their people and crops. Despite the awe their achievements inspire, the Maya world was not static. Over centuries, their political landscape shifted through wars, alliances, and social upheaval. Around 900 CE, many major cities in the southern lowlands mysteriously declined. Grand plazas were abandoned, stelae ceased to be erected, and dense forest reclaimed stone. For a long time, scholars called this the Maya collapse, but the truth is more complex. While southern cities fell, others in the north, like Chichen Itza and later Mayapan, continued to thrive for centuries. Today, we know the Maya didn't vanish. They adapted. Their descendants still live in the region, keeping alive languages, customs, and beliefs rooted in ancient tradition. What caused this shift? Scholars propose multiple factors: prolonged droughts revealed by paleoclimate data, internal warfare weakening states, overpopulation straining resources, and social unrest undermining elite power. No single answer suffices, but the result was undeniable. A silence fell over once vibrant cities, their stonework left to the jungle and time. Yet even in their apparent decline, the Maya were building something eternal. Their knowledge, etched into limestone and passed down through oral histories, never truly died. Today, linguists, archaeologists, and indigenous Maya communities are working together to reclaim that heritage, deciphering glyphs, restoring temples, and reviving rituals. In this series, we will delve deeper into the enigmas of this remarkable people, examining their spiritual practices, their unparalleled astronomical systems, their art, warfare, and architecture, and the enduring legacy they've left behind. We will walk through the ruins not as graveyards of a lost people, but as libraries carved in stone, echoing with the heartbeat of a culture that never stopped breathing. Stay with us as we uncover the hidden wisdom of the Maya. Comment below. What do you think is the greatest unsolved mystery of the Maya? Is it their calendar, their sudden decline, or something still waiting to be unearthed? To truly understand the legacy of the Maya, one must explore not just their cities and symbols, but their relentless devotion to harmony between the human and cosmic realms. The Maya believed that every aspect of their lives, harvests, births, wars, even the construction of buildings, was synchronized with divine rhythms. Their kings were not merely rulers, but interpreters of celestial will, and every decision was measured against the stars. This deep integration of cosmology into daily governance was perhaps one of their most remarkable traits. Unlike many ancient cultures that separated the sacred from the administrative, the Maya saw no division. Their temples were their palaces, their astronomers were their priests, and time was a sacred force that had to be honored, feared, and understood. The Maya calendar system, often misunderstood as merely a doomsday clock in modern times, was far more complex and philosophical. It was composed of several interlocking cycles. The Tzolk'in, a 260-day ritual calendar, was used for divination and religious ceremonies. The Hab, a 365-day solar calendar, tracked seasonal activities like planting and harvesting. Together, they created a larger 52-year cycle known as the calendar round, which was of great ceremonial importance. Then there was the long count, a linear calendar that measured the great epochs of human existence, essentially their version of universal history. These cycles were not abstract. They governed when kings were crowned, when temples were built, and when wars were fought. One fascinating aspect of Maya civilization is their writing system, which is considered the most sophisticated in pre-Columbian America. Maya hieroglyphs combined logograms and syllabic signs, allowing scribes to record both phonetic sound and meaning. These glyphs covered temple walls, stelae, codices, and even everyday objects. Through them, the Maya preserved their history, lineages, astronomy, poetry, and religion. Though many texts were destroyed by Spanish conquerors in the 16th century, especially under the zealous hand of Bishop Diego de Landa, some codices survived, and efforts to decode glyphs in the 20th and 21st centuries have opened new windows into Maya thought. The Maya understood their gods as part of a dualistic universe. Many deities had two aspects, one of creation, the other of destruction. Itzamna, the creator god, could also bring chaos. The maize god, central to their mythos, was not just a symbol of sustenance but a metaphor for rebirth, as maize dies when harvested but returns each season. Their myths weren't meant to be taken literally, but to convey the cycles of life, death, and renewal that governed both nature and society. These cycles were mirrored in every ritual and reinforced in every stone carving. Art, too, was a channel of this cosmic awareness. Maya sculpture and murals depicted not only historical events, but mythological dramas. At Bonampak, a series of murals illustrates a full ceremony, from music and feasting to human sacrifice, all under the watchful eyes of gods and ancestors. Such art wasn't decorative, it was instructive, a visual scripture. Even everyday objects like pottery and jewelry were adorned with glyphs and symbols that infused them with sacred meaning. A bowl wasn't just for eating. It might depict the journey of a god or carry inscriptions offering it to a deity. Let's also consider Maya warfare, which was more ritualized and symbolic than often imagined. Wars were waged not just for land, but for captives, who played important roles in religious ceremonies. Elites taken in battle were often sacrificed to honor the gods and reenact mythological events. These acts, while brutal by modern standards, were deeply rooted in the Maya worldview. Each death, each drop of blood, was seen as nourishing the cosmos and ensuring cosmic order. The warrior was a sacred role, and even death in battle, or by sacrifice, was considered an honor. Yet, for all their order and structure, Maya politics were fraught with rivalry. The great cities of Tikal and Calakmul, for instance, waged a centuries-long conflict known to modern scholars as the Maya Superpower War. These rivalries were recorded in stelae, tall stone monuments that detailed victories, alliances, and divine legitimations of power. Tikal and Calakmul each built vast spheres of influence, aligning with smaller cities and vying for dominance. This complex diplomacy mirrors our modern world more than one might think. It shows us that the Maya weren't just priests and astronomers, they were politicians, strategists, and empire builders. Environmental stewardship was also a core aspect of Maya life. They constructed raised fields, reservoirs, and canals to manage water and grow food in challenging tropical environments. Their knowledge of agriculture was refined over centuries. They rotated crops, used terracing, and cultivated sacred groves. However, as population grew and demands on the land intensified, this relationship may have become strained. Deforestation for building materials, erosion from agriculture, and the pressure of feeding dense populations could have led to ecological imbalances, factors that likely contributed to the Classic period collapse. Still, the Maya endured. After the fall of great southern cities, the northern lowlands became the new centers of power. Chichen Itza rose to prominence with a unique blend of Maya and Toltec influences, indicating trade and cultural exchange across regions. Its famed ball court is the largest in Mesoamerica, and its Temple of the Warriors stands as a testament to evolving religious practices. Unlike earlier cities that emphasized divine kingship, Chichen Itza's governance appears more collective, suggesting political innovation in the face of shifting social landscapes. Religion also evolved. While human sacrifice remained, it was practiced with different rituals and in new contexts. The sacred cenotes around Chichen Itza became key ceremonial spaces. Offerings of gold, jade, and even humans were cast into their depths, gifts for the gods believed to dwell in their waters. These practices were not remnants of superstition. They were deeply meaningful, embedded in centuries of cosmological thought and tradition. The Mayas' contact with other Mesoamerican cultures, Zapotecs, Mixtecs, and later the powerful Aztecs, expanded their world even more. Trade routes spanned from the Gulf of Mexico to the highlands of Guatemala, carrying obsidian, salt, cacao, feathers, and ideas. The Maya were never isolated. They were active participants in a regional web of exchange and innovation, absorbing and adapting elements while preserving their unique identity. Even after Spanish conquest began in the 16th century, the Maya resisted. Unlike the Aztecs and Incas, whose empires collapsed quickly, the Maya kept fighting for decades. The Itza people held out in Tayasal until 1697, over 150 years after first contact. They retreated deeper into the forest, blending guerrilla resistance with sacred rebellion. Their stories were eventually silenced by force, but never forgotten. Today, their descendants still speak Mayan languages, perform ancestral rituals, and preserve the legacy of their ancestors with quiet resilience. We must never make the mistake of thinking the Maya disappeared. Their culture lives in the faces of modern Maya communities, in their festivals, languages, embroidery, and prayers. Their pyramids are not ruins, they are reminders. Their glyphs are not puzzles, they are voices. Their silence is not absence, it is patience. And the mysteries? They remain, waiting in the jungle, written in the stars, whispering to those who are willing to look deeper. The survival of the Maya spirit is not confined to their monuments or even their myths. It lives on in the vibrant languages spoken by over 6 million Maya descendants today. From the highlands of Guatemala to the Yucatan Peninsula, these languages are the living heartbeat of a people who have refused to vanish. Yucatec, Quiche, Quiechua, and dozens more represent not dialects, but entire cosmologies, world views that still frame reality in terms born thousands of years ago. The structure of these languages encodes not only identity, but time, nature, family, and spirituality. In the Maya tongue, time is often spoken of as something one comes from, not something one travels through, a clue into how they perceived life as a series of returns, cycles, and echoes. Yet it is not just in language that the Maya legacy endures. Many of their traditions, from agricultural practices to ritual celebrations, are still performed in remarkably similar ways. The planting of maize, the honoring of sacred days, the consultation of Akij, Maya spiritual guides, continue to weave ancient wisdom into modern life. Festivals like the Day of the Dead or the Dance of the Rabinal Achi are direct descendants of pre-Hispanic rituals, and their symbolism carries messages about community, ancestors, sacrifice, and rebirth. The persistence of these customs is not merely cultural, it is a quiet act of resistance against centuries of colonization and marginalization. One of the most intriguing continuities is the Maya use of the sacred calendar for divination. Even today, spiritual leaders consult the Tzolk'in to determine auspicious days for marriage, travel, healing, or political action. Each day has its own energy, represented by a unique glyph, and individuals are believed to be born under specific day signs that influence their character and destiny. This integration of cosmic rhythm into daily affairs reminds us of how the Maya dissolved the barrier between the secular and the spiritual. It wasn't just about worshipping the gods, it was about living in harmony with forces greater than oneself. Despite their achievements, the Maya were not immune to suffering. The conquest brought forced conversions, mass enslavement, and the near erasure of entire cities. The Spanish, armed with steel, disease, and an imperial theology, viewed Maya culture as demonic and primitive. Churches were built over temples, idols destroyed, codices burned. Yet even amid this violence, adaptation occurred. The Maya learned to translate their beliefs into Christian terms. They merged the Virgin Mary with the moon goddess, transformed Catholic saints into forest spirits, and continued their sacred rituals behind the facades of Spanish churches. This process, called syncretism, was not surrender. It was cultural camouflage, a way to survive while preserving the sacred beneath the surface. Today, scholars are working in collaboration with indigenous communities to uncover the full richness of Maya history. Archaeological projects increasingly involve local Maya voices, recognizing that knowledge cannot be truly recovered without the participation of those whose blood and memory still run through the land. In this work, technology plays a vital role. LiDAR, light detection and ranging technology, which uses lasers to map the ground beneath jungle canopies, has revolutionized our understanding of ancient Maya cities. In 2018, LiDAR surveys revealed over 60,000 previously unknown structures in Guatemala: roads, temples, homes, and defensive walls, proving that Maya civilization was far more extensive and interconnected than previously believed. These discoveries challenge old assumptions. The image of the Maya as isolated jungle dwellers has given way to a vision of an intricate, continent-spanning network of roads, trade routes, and cultural exchange. Their cities were not just clusters of temples, they were urban hubs with markets, neighborhoods, aqueducts, and causeways. Their forests were not untouched wilderness, they were managed ecosystems, shaped by generations of knowledge. In this light, the Maya were not victims of nature but stewards of it, until climatic and political crises outpaced their systems of control. Maya cosmology also invites us to rethink our own relationship with the universe. While modern society often views nature as a resource and time as a commodity, the Maya saw both as sacred. They observed the heavens not to control them, but to understand their place within a greater order. The Milky Way, for instance, was envisioned as the world tree, a cosmic axis connecting all realms of existence. When the tree flowered, it signaled creation. When it withered, destruction loomed. This mythic framework offered both explanation and ethical guidance, reminding the people of their role in maintaining balance. This sacred balance extended to the ball game, a ritual sport found across Mesoamerica. Far from being mere recreation, the ball game was a reenactment of cosmic struggle. Players represented gods battling forces of darkness. The ball symbolized the sun's journey through the underworld. In some versions, the stakes were life and death. Captives, or even the losing team, were sacrificed. Courts were aligned with celestial events, and entire audiences witnessed these performances not just as entertainment, but as cosmic theater. Each game was a chance to restore harmony to the universe or descend into chaos. Even their understanding of the afterlife was layered and complex. Xibalba, the Maya underworld, was not simply a place of punishment. It was a realm of trials, transformation, and eventual rebirth. Souls journeyed through rivers of blood, faced trickster gods, and endured tests before rising anew. This cyclical vision of death, much like the seasons, offered comfort in the face of mortality. Death was not an end, but a transition, a necessary passage in the eternal rhythm of existence. The more we uncover about the Maya, the more we realize that they lived not merely in history, but in philosophy. Their stone carvings are not just decorative, they are coded expressions of cosmology. Their mathematics, based on the concept of zero long before it was known in Europe, enabled them to build massive calendars and count millions of days into the future. Their city layouts, aligned with stars and seasons, reflect an almost obsessive attention to pattern and harmony. And perhaps this is the most powerful mystery of all. The Maya were not obsessed with power or permanence. Their monuments did not scream conquest. They whispered of balance. Their rituals did not demand fear. They invited participation. Their science was not separated from spirit. It was built upon it. In many ways, they understood what modern civilizations are still struggling to remember: that true greatness lies not in dominance, but in alignment, with the land, with the sky, with time itself. In the next part of our journey, we will explore some of the most puzzling unsolved mysteries that still haunt the world of Maya studies. From the secrets of their writing system to the unexplained abandonment of certain cities, from their mathematical brilliance to their knowledge of celestial mechanics, we will step deeper into the labyrinth of Maya wisdom. Because in the jungle, time sleeps, but it does not forget. As we delve further into the Maya legacy, we find ourselves facing questions not even time has managed to answer. How did a civilization without wheels, metal tools, or beasts of burden construct some of the most precise and awe-inspiring structures in the ancient world? How did they track celestial movements with such accuracy that modern scientists continue to marvel at their observations of Venus, eclipses, and planetary alignments? And perhaps the most haunting mystery of all: what caused entire cities, once bustling with life, art, and ceremony, to be suddenly abandoned, their temples swallowed by the forest, their voices seemingly silenced overnight? The Maya mystery is not one of disappearance, but of endurance beneath Enigma. One of the greatest puzzles that archaeologists and historians still face is the so-called classic collapse, around 800–900 CE. In just a few generations, the southern lowland cities like Tikal, Copan, Palenque, and others saw dramatic population declines. Stone inscriptions ceased. Monumental construction halted. Elite tombs were left unfinished. Scholars have proposed many explanations: prolonged droughts confirmed by sediment cores and tree rings, intense warfare and political fragmentation revealed in glyphic records, deforestation and soil exhaustion evidenced in pollen data, or perhaps spiritual disillusionment, as divine kingship failed to ensure the favor of the gods. But none of these theories, alone or in combination, fully explain the scale and speed of the change. It remains a complex, unresolved puzzle. Complicating the narrative even more are the exceptions. Cities in the northern Yucatan like Uxmal and Chichen Itza continued to grow and thrive well after the southern centers declined. This regional shift suggests not a civilization in collapse, but in transformation. Ideas were reconfigured. Rituals were adapted. New powers rose. inheriting the old traditions, but forging new ones. What may appear as a fall may actually have been a migration of sacred energy, moving across time and territory rather than vanishing. Another enduring enigma lies in the Maya glyphs. Although much of their writing system has been deciphered in the past 50 years, thanks to the work of dedicated epigraphers, there are still many glyphs whose meanings remain uncertain. Inscriptions often reference events, rituals, or deities using metaphoric language, poetic constructs, and cultural references lost to us. The Maya scribes weren't merely recording facts. They were embedding layered meanings into their texts, echoing cosmological principles and sacred numerology. Every stela, every stairway, every codex is a linguistic labyrinth. And as we unlock more of their language, we begin to see history not as a list of dates, but as a living map of sacred memory. We also cannot ignore the profound astronomical knowledge embedded in Maya architecture. At sites like Copan and Yaxchilan, buildings align precisely with solstices, equinoxes, and lunar cycles. The observatory at Uxmal, for instance, is not merely named for poetic reasons. Its structure tracks the positions of Venus, the Moon, and the Sun in ways that would require centuries of careful sky watching and mathematical modeling. How did they manage this without telescopes? Their method was observation, systematic, disciplined, passed down through priestly lineages who recorded every flicker in the sky on bark paper codices. These were not mythic star priests. They were scientists of their time, disciplined and exact. And yet, their vision of the cosmos went beyond observation. It was participatory. The Maya believed their rituals affected the balance of the heavens, that the act of sacrifice, or prayer, or ballgame could echo across the stars. In this sense, their astronomy wasn't passive. It was interactive, relational, alive. It invited them to be part of the universe's rhythm, not simply observers of it. This spiritual scientific fusion is one of the most profound legacies the Maya left behind, a way of seeing that bridges what modern minds often divide. One of the most striking symbols of this fusion is the Maya ball court. More than 1,300 ball courts have been discovered across Mesoamerica, and each one served as a sacred stage. The game, played with a rubber ball, wasn't about goals or entertainment. It was ritual, drama, fate. Players symbolized celestial bodies. The ball itself was often seen as the sun, journeying through the darkness of the underworld. In some versions, the losing team, or the captain, was sacrificed, becoming part of the mythic cycle. The walls of the court told stories, not of athletes, but of gods and destiny. To play was to participate in cosmic equilibrium. To lose was not shameful, but sacrificial. The Maya also mapped their cities with incredible intentionality. Central plazas, pyramids, and causeways were positioned according to cardinal directions and celestial alignments. The sacred E-groups, a type of architectural complex, served as solar observatories, marking the equinoxes and solstices with striking precision. These spatial arrangements weren't just aesthetic. They were metaphysical blueprints. The layout of a city mirrored the structure of the cosmos. The pyramid was the mountain of creation. The plaza was the surface of the earth. The temples were stairways to the heavens. Even their numbering system reveals genius. The Maya used a vigesimal, base 20 system, allowing them to calculate vast numbers with few symbols. They were among the first cultures in the world to conceptualize and use zero, not as an absence, but as a sacred placeholder. This understanding was vital for their calendar systems, which required accurate long-term tracking of time across multiple cycles. While European thinkers struggled with the abstract concept of zero well into the medieval period, the Maya embraced it as essential. Then there are the cenotes, natural sinkholes found throughout the Yucatan Peninsula. To the Maya, these were more than water sources. They were entrances to the underworld, portals through which offerings were made and deities could be contacted. Archaeological dives into cenotes have recovered gold, jade, obsidian blades, and human remains, evidence of rituals aimed at divine communion. Chichen Itza's sacred cenote, in particular, yielded hundreds of skeletons, including children, suggesting that life itself was seen as the most precious gift to the gods. These acts, while sobering, speak to a cosmology in which every part of nature, from the tallest tree to the deepest well, was alive, sacred, and deserving of respect or fear. And what of the myths? The Popol Vuh, the sacred book of the Quiche Maya, is a masterpiece of world literature. In its pages, we read the journey of the hero twins who descend into the underworld to outwit the lords of death. The story is full of trials, tricks, sacrifices, and resurrections. It echoes the same themes found in mythologies worldwide: death and rebirth, light and darkness, chaos and order. But unlike many creation stories, the Popol Vuh doesn't end with a perfect world. Instead, it acknowledges failure, trial, and imperfection. Humanity, created from maize, must work, must suffer, must participate in the ongoing shaping of the world. Perhaps this is the most enduring wisdom of the Maya, the understanding that perfection is not static, but cyclical. That greatness lies not in avoiding collapse, but in the ability to rise again. Their cities fell, their books burned, their temples desecrated, and yet they remain. In stone, in soil, in blood, in breath, in the rhythms of language, and the flight of stars. The Maya are not a chapter of history. They are a mirror, reflecting what we once knew and what we may yet remember. In the final part of our journey, we will explore how the modern world is rediscovering Maya wisdom, how science, spirituality, and indigenous knowledge are merging to offer new ways of seeing ourselves, the Earth, and the universe we all share. In the 21st century, the Maya are no longer only remembered for their pyramids or their calendar. They are recognized, rightfully, as a living people with a vibrant cultural legacy, and as ancestors of one of the greatest scientific and spiritual civilizations the world has ever known. Their insights into astronomy, agriculture, mathematics, and ecology are being re-examined not as relics of a forgotten past, but as tools for a sustainable future. Today's researchers, activists, and Maya communities are building bridges between ancient wisdom and modern challenges, showing how the past can guide us through the uncertainties of the present. Climate scientists are now studying ancient Maya techniques for water conservation, soil regeneration, and forest management. From terraced farming to forest gardens and rainwater collecting reservoirs, the Maya developed remarkably resilient systems in challenging environments. Ironically, these techniques, developed millennia ago, are being revisited as climate change threatens modern food systems. And in this way, the Maya speak again, offering solutions not through prophecy, but through proven experience. Digital archaeologists and engineers are also uncovering new marvels hidden beneath the earth, using tools like LiDAR. In areas once thought sparsely populated, they are finding vast networks of cities, roads, fortresses, and farms, evidence of millions living in sophisticated harmony with their environment. These revelations are not only rewriting the academic understanding of Mesoamerican history, but they are restoring pride and power to Maya descendants who have long battled stereotypes of being the remnants of a fallen people. The narrative is shifting. They were never lost. They were never silent. They were never defeated. Spiritual leaders, too, are reclaiming rituals and reviving ceremonies suppressed for centuries. Across the highlands and lowlands, Maya altars are being rekindled with fire, chants, copal incense, and prayer. Ceremonies that honor the cardinal directions, the cycles of the moon, and the sacred days of the Tzolk'in are being performed openly again, not just as folklore, but as sacred acts of cultural sovereignty. Elders are teaching children how to speak the old languages, how to plant and harvest according to the stars, how to read the signs of the earth and sky. This is not nostalgia, it is survival with dignity. Even in art and storytelling, the Maya voice is rising. Maya filmmakers, poets, and musicians are crafting new narratives that blend ancient themes with contemporary struggles, identity, resistance, justice, healing. They remind the world that the Maya story was never static. It is still being written, still evolving, still powerful. Museums and documentaries that once spoke about the Maya now strive to speak with them. Education is changing, acknowledging that to tell the story of the Maya is not merely to describe monuments and gods, it is to listen to the descendants and stewards of a living cosmos. And what about us, the modern viewers, listeners, thinkers? What can we learn from this long and labyrinthine journey through the stars and the jungle? Perhaps the most profound lesson the Maya offer is that wisdom does not always shout. It sometimes waits. It waits in glyphs carved into forgotten stones, in temples reclaimed by vines, in the silence between eclipses. The Maya understood that life is cyclical, that destruction is followed by renewal, that time is not something we waste, but something we walk through, with reverence, responsibility, and rhythm. They teach us to look up, to track the stars, not just with telescopes, but with wonder. They teach us to look down, to plant in the earth not just crops, but gratitude. They teach us to look within, to remember that we too are part of a great cosmic pattern, that the same stars they observed still burn above us, that the same maize they honored still nourishes millions, that the same questions they asked, who are we? Why are we here? What does the universe expect of us? Remain our questions too. In the end, the enigma of the Maya is not a riddle to be solved. It is an invitation to listen, to learn, to remember. Because in the jungle, time does not die, it blooms. And somewhere between the stars and the earth, between the temples and the stories, between silence and song, the Maya still live. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to watch another interesting one.